So this month, I'm doing a series called Communication That Connects, and we're in episode 2. And there was something that came through for me last week when I was talking about how to make sure that your feelings actually get heard in your relationship. That inspired today's conversation, which is all about interrupting. And I don't know if you caught the title, but the title of this episode is No, I Want You to Interrupt. Seriously. Now, you may be thinking, wait, did she just tell me to interrupt my partner? Like during a conflict? Yes, I did. And the truth is, interrupting your partner during a conflict might actually be the most loving thing that you can do. Not to defend yourself, mind you, not to share your experience or to fight back, but to protect the connection between you two. Because some interruptions aren't disconnection, they're repair, they're leadership. And they might be just what saves your next conversation from totally going off the rails and becoming a communication breakdown. That's what we're diving into today. Welcome, my dear one, to another Catalyst Conversation for Relationship Revolution, where we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, like don't interrupt, and flip the script on what we've been taught or not taught at all, and reveal the truths on what no one's told you. Here, we unlock a whole new paradigm of partnership, one that anchors in consciousness and personal empowerment and results in the kind of relationships that most people only dream of. Now, before I get into today's topic, I want to talk about who I am and why I'm here. My name, if you're new, is Dr. Jenny Wallig. I am an award-winning relationship mentor, speaker, author, educator, and I am a disruptor, y'all. I am determined to make this world a better place through more conscious and evolved relationships. I am here to revolutionize how we attend to problems, solutions, and what it really means to love, okay? Alongside my partner and soulmate, Calvin O'Seely, I am the co-founder and CEO of Powerful Love Relationships and co-creator of our transformational, proven 3-pillar Powerful Love method, which is a path to saving, healing, and up-leveling your relationship, even if your partner's not doing the work with you. In these catalyst conversations, as with everything that we do in Powerful Love, the goal isn't just to teach you how to do relationships better. It is to redefine how relationships work, to unlock what's possible, and to empower you, fellow visionary, to create a relationship that fills your heart and fuels your dreams. You ready now? Okay, let's get into it. So, as I said, today we are challenging one of the golden rules of communication. Don't interrupt. You're not supposed to interrupt your partner. You're supposed to just listen. And sometimes not interrupting and just listening can actually sabotage your connection. Remember, we're trying to do like a revolutionary thing and learn how to communicate in a way that doesn't just get our messages across, but actually results in a better level of communication with our partner. Okay? And sometimes, well, let me say it this way. Just imagine this. Bring back a memory, because I think that this is something we can all probably relate to. You're in a hard conversation, right? Your emotions are high, your partner's emotions are high, and they are maybe like totally flooded. They flip their lid, they're spiraling. And the way that this conversation is going is starting to derail, right? They're not speaking to you very kindly. They may be yelling, they may be swearing, they may be like pointing the finger and saying you, and it's not feeling good to receive, right? But instead of like just taking it and listening as your partner is railing on you, instead of just listening to that and not interrupting, you do interrupt. But you interrupt with something like, hey, I want to hear you. I care about what you're saying here, but I'm shutting down. Can we like slow this down so I could stay more present with you? Can you like speak to me a little more softly? Because it's getting really hard for me to stay regulated so that I can like not be defensive and really hear you. That kind of interruption can change The whole dynamic, right? That is steering you back on track rather than allowing the relationship or the conversation to keep going in the direction that it was just heading. That's what we're talking about today, right? And I know that this idea like of interrupting might be challenging, but I'm telling you, this concept is another step in your liberation, in your relationship revolution. You know, hey, I want to share a little personal story. So I am the one in relationship dynamics who can really flip her lid, right? Because I'm the pursuer in the dance, and my partners have all tended to be like withdrawers or avoiders, and they shut down and what. So like, but I'm like trying to get things fixed and trying to get them to engage and trying to get this solved, and my feelings are big, and I'm really good at expressing them. And when I'm flooded, um, and I'm better now, but not perfect. But like historically, I can get mean. I've gotten mean. I have sworn sometimes. I have yelled sometimes. I've said shitty things. And I'm also someone who, like you, if you're listening to this, I assume this is you too, like really cares about how we show up in our relationship, right? Like, I don't want to be a crappy partner. I don't want to be doing harm. But when we're really upset, like people go into this temporary insanity place. And that's real. Like we are not thinking about what we're saying or how we're saying it. We are just in self-protective fight mode, and it can come out ugly. And it has been historically like so um so hard and devastating to reflect on how I treat my partners in those moments, but also so frustrating that they did not help me like realize that I was fucking up, that I was not helping, that I was in the wrong, and or that I was making things worse. I was not setting myself up for success and being heard or getting my needs met in this conversation. And and finally, I know my relationship with Cal, and I think this came about because of the work that we're doing and because I was able to name, like, I want you to interrupt me, right? I like, you need to, like, help me be successful. Let's work together. And now he does. And now sometimes my kids do. There's this really beautiful moment the other day with my son Lincoln, and I was talking to him about like he was being disrespectful, and I was kind of yelling at him about being disrespectful, and he's like, "Yes, says the person who's yelling right now." And it was snarky, and it was, it wasn't meant to like help me, but it was feedback. And because of this practice, I was able to receive that and be like, "You know what? You're right. I am yelling, and that's not respectful either. Thank you for giving me that feedback and giving me the opportunity to course correct before it went even further down this path that's not working for us." Like, that was huge. That was a beautiful parenting moment. I feel really so excited and proud of on both on his behalf and mine. And now my kids are doing it more often. They're giving us feedback on when the way we're relating with them is not feeling good and giving us a chance to catch ourselves and course correct. And guess how they learned it? Because we're modeling it. Y'all, this shit changes not just your life, but it changes your other relationships. It has a ripple effect that supports all of us in being better collaborators in the connections and the relationships we're trying to form. Interrupting like this really is a game changer. It is such a gift of love. So let me give you some kind of perspective, some shifts that I want you to take with you in this conversation, right? First and foremost, interruption does not have to be a bad thing, right? Not all interruptions are created equal. Some interrupting, the kind of interrupting I'm talking about, can be a sacred act of connection, can be a gift of love. When done with intention, it's a boundary, it's a check in, it's a tap on the shoulder, an invitation, it's support. Okay. And we have to understand it that way. Second, like this is not tone policing, okay? Tone policing is different. This is boundary setting, This is creating a container for connection by naming when something is too much for your nervous system. You're owning it, and do own it. I'm going to talk about that in the next shift. But tone policing is different because it comes from a place of finger pointing and like asking someone else to do all of the emotional labor for the conversation, to say things in such a perfectly positioned way that it doesn't activate your nervous system. It's not uncomfortable for you to receive. Y'all, if you're having a difficult conversation, if your partner is sharing their feelings or their issues or their upsets, it is going to be uncomfortable. There's no getting around it unless you just don't care about them. And I'm assuming that you do. So inevitably, it's going to be uncomfortable. But we need to be able to stay within what's called a window of tolerance, right? So in your window of tolerance, you're tolerating discomfort. When you are past your window of tolerance, you're flooded and you're not going to be able to have a conversation effectively. So what we're doing is we're letting our partner know, like, I'm approaching the edge of my window of tolerance where the discomfort I'm feeling in being reflected, this experience, which I want to hold for you, like it's pushing me over the edge. And some days you're going to have a bigger window of tolerance, and other days you're going to have less capacity, which is why, as I talked about last week, consent matters in having these conversations. But you got to watch last week's video to understand what I'm talking about there if you're not getting it here. By the way, if you want access to last week's Catalyst conversation, type feelings, because that was the title. What about my feelings? So type feelings and I'll get you access to that one. But so what I'm saying is, like, tone policing is different. Okay. You still have to do the work of tolerating the discomfort here. You're just collaborating with your partner to ensure that you're not going beyond your window of tolerance where you lose the ability to stay engaged in this conversation. Okay. That's different. So check yourself on this also, so that you know you're not coming from a tone policing place where you're acting or expecting your partner to say things in a perfect way, because when feelings are involved, it's not going to be perfect. And we have to have grace. You can't do it perfectly either. Like, none of us can, friend. Okay. So we got to have grace for this. All right. So here's shift number 3. When you are interrupting, speak from your experience, speak about what's going on for you, not necessarily about their behavior. Like, you can name their behavior, but it's really helpful when you also name what's happening for you. Real connection, the real work of a relationship happens in these micro moments when we're saying, like, how you're experiencing the relationship in that moment. Okay. Not in like this big, generalized swath of like, you always, you never, or I can't listen to you, or you don't talk kindly to me. Like, not like, it's in this moment. How am I talking to you? So that might sound something like, hey, I know you're feeling upset and that's valid, but the way you're talking to me, like, I'm receiving as an attack. Can we try to soften? Or like, honey, my nervous system is maxing out. I want to stay with you. I want to receive what you have to say, but like, I need to slow down, or I need a break. Or like, I know that you're used to talking like this and fighting like this in your family, but remember, for me, it's like this kind of yelling feels dangerous to my nervous system, and I'm wondering if you could just try to speak to me without swearing, or speak to me a little bit more kindly, so that I could stay with you and stay in this conversation, because it's really important to me to receive what you have to say. Do you see how that's different? It's so good. Okay. I hope these examples are helping, and they take practice. And if you're like, if you don't know what kind of language to use, and it would be helpful to have some language, reach out. Like, if you want examples, reach out, and I'll share some more examples. But for now, hopefully these help. And the last thing I want to share is this. When we interrupt to kind of meta communicate, talk about how we're talking, when we interrupt to partner with our beloved in supporting this conversation and going in the direction that we both desire for it to go, which is one that ends up in resolution, repair, connection, understanding. This kind of interruption creates repair, and it works to help keep the conversation back on track. John Gottman, one of the foremost like thought leaders and researchers on what creates success in relationships, has found that these moments of repair, these moments of like self-interruption and feedback, protect this 5-to-1 ratio that he has found is a key indicator of whether relationships succeed or fail. So if you've not heard of it before, the 5-to-1 ratio is 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative one. So every time you express defensiveness or contempt, or name calling, for example, in a conflict, like that's a negative interaction. And so what he's found is that couples who succeed in their marriages counter that with at least 5 positive interactions, like softening or reaching out and putting a hand on your shoulder or knee, or being able to give this repairing and course correcting feedback and then have it be received. Like, you're right, I'm sorry, let me try again. That is what really protects your relationship. And it is going to cascade into an experience of greater and greater trust that these conflicts, that these difficult dialogues are not a threat to your relationship. They're not going to result in lasting harm or damage, which makes communication easier, which makes communication less necessary, which makes it like understanding and connection a lot stronger. This is how you do it, by practicing, by having these hard conversations that sometimes we want to avoid, but by doing them better and working together to make sure that they take us, that they're more likely to take us to where we want to go. Because of course we're practicing this. And as you practice new skills, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning, but keep practicing, because the more you do it, the easier it gets. And so let's think about like what happens when you get good at this, right? Like, what is that going to be like? Imagine that you're in a conversation that turns into an argument and starts to spiral. But instead of like blowing up and resulting in more disconnection and hurt feelings and frustration and loneliness and lack of resolution, you interrupt. Not to fight or argue your part, but to regroup, to pull your partner back in. You name your limit. You share what's going on with you. You ask your partner for something a little different, a little better, a little easier. You lead with love. And now instead of disconnection, this difficult conversation results in closeness. And you both get to feel proud of how you handled it. You feel safer with one another. You feel better about how you showed up in the relationship if you're the one receiving the feedback. You feel better about how you stood up for yourself and didn't just sit and take what can feel like violent or really injurious communication processes from your partner, right? You're in integrity, you're in love. So now you're feeling closer and less depleted. You have resolution and understanding. This is what it means, my friend, to be a relationship leader, to lead with love. This is what it means to interrupt on purpose, right? Skillfully, effectively. And to master this means that conflict, again, like conflict is no longer scary. You don't have to be afraid of it anymore, because you'll trust yourself and you'll trust your partner to be able to go through this. Maybe not perfectly, maybe still messily, right? You're still getting a little ugly sometimes, but ultimately with love. And that will ultimately result in connection and strengthening and growth in your relationship. And that is the gift. That is the gift in all of our conflict, all of our difficult conversations. So I hope that shifts your thinking about how we do conversations and arguments and conflict, because it's an important piece most of us miss, never think about. If you're in the Relationship Revolution membership, please don't miss out on this week's activation, right? This is how You move from just learning and ahas to, oh, this is what it feels like. This is how I do it. Because transformation doesn't happen in learning, transformation happens in becoming. And in order to become, we have to apply, we have to practice, we have to embody it. Okay. So keep a lookout for that. If you are not in the Relationship Revolution membership yet, what are you waiting for, friends? Now is the best time to join because we just keep leveling up in this group. We're adding more value. We've got like a collection of more resources, and we're still offering the founding member rate. But as we fill up that window to get in at only $97, plus get a free strategy call, one-on-one strategy call with me, and access to our Infinite Possibilities in Relationships program, which I'm going to be doing later this year, those go away. So the Relationship Revolution, even if you're joining at the full membership rate, y'all, which is $147, easily the best $147 I think you're going to spend every month. Here, we're going to give you the weekly tools, practices, mentorship, and support, the frameworks, and the guidance to be able to take your love from where it is and unlock the possibilities into what it can become. Prioritizing in little, easy to manage bits and pieces every week to keep your relationship growing, evolving, to keep yourself accountable and healing and moving toward the kind of relationship that, again, most people only dream of. Here's where we learn how to do it and we actually do the damn thing. So I want to help you live the relationship of your dreams. The Relationship Revolution is an easy access place to start that journey. Remember, my dear ones, you've got this. And if you're ready to interrupt with love, then you are ready to lead with love. That's it for today's Catalyst Conversation. I will look forward to seeing you next Friday and every Friday, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, for another Catalyst Conversation. Until then, keep leading with love. The world needs it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more transformational content. It really does make a difference. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps me continue creating content that can change lives. And if this resonated with you, share it with someone else who may need to hear it, because we are all in this together. Let's spread the love, my friends.